And we're live. Cool. Hi. You have a store in South Africa called Project Mayhem.
Yes, correct.
That's very cool. What
Yes.
what made you want to start that?
I'm actually a collector myself, um, and I'm a big fan of the genre. But as we chatted off air, um, we don't really have that many comic book stores where I live. I live in a city called Durban, which is on the coast, South Africa, East Coast, and we don't have any stores here. So, and with the cost of things, it just became easier to import it myself and try and offer an alternative to people who lived in this part of the country.
Yeah, of course. We mentioned, but when we were speaking a second ago as well, that you've started a sort of a community within a community of people that
Yes,
enjoy that.
yes. Initially, we didn't realize that they were, they, there was a fan base with cosplayers and people interested in the genre as much as we were. And it was quite pleasant surprise that once we got our name out there and we started doing more community driven events, that around cosplay and around fans, that we realized that it was quite a big local community.
That's so cool. So they were already there, but you were the guy that brought them all together.
Well, we were one of them. I think like we teamed up with a lot of other people who existed at the time. A lot of active cosplayers and people who were trying to start up a movement or something. And we can't take all the credit, but we did host a lot of events that gave people the platform to express themselves and allow more people to get involved. And eventually, it became a regular occurrence that our events or mini events would bring cosplayers together. And it dawned other little get-togethers and stuff like that where people were actively involved in the community.
That's so cool. And you usually run these events around a theme of some sort. Did you end up like, because you mentioned before when we were talking before the podcast about niches within niches. So like, for example, there's the whole community of all this stuff, like for example, Marvel, and then there could be the space stuff within Marvel.
Yeah, so the way we started it was there was a the movie Age of Ultron was around 2015 was coming out, the Avengers movie, and so we had an event where at IMAX, which was the first a private company to actually host an event at an IMAX, where everybody came like specifically for the event, bought tickets from us directly, not from the cinema, and came for a themed night, which was like a VIP event. People were in cosplay, there were giveaways and competitions, and that was back in 2015. And we've done that for every major comic book or Star Wars movie ever since. And I think we are 24, 25 films now in IMAX that we've done these little events with a couple of hundred people coming specifically for that day, for that event on the opening weekend. Dressed in theme, basically.
That's so cool. That's incredible. Did you say dressed in team?
Well, just in the theme of the film. So if it was a Star Wars event, they would come dressed up as Star Wars character or interpretation of a Star Wars character in cosplay.
Right, okay. Have you ever found that it's sort of like sports where you'll have a team turn up where they're on the side of the Sith or the Empire, and then there's a team that turn up that are on the side of the Rebellion, and there's a sort of like a competition feeling?
Well, that's interesting. We never actually had that, but with the amount of people that did cosplay, we probably could have done something. I'm sure there are photographs and video of people who did act out a little.
Oh, sorry. I think your audio's gone a bit odd. I can't quite hear you properly.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you way better now.
Can you hear me
Sorry.
now?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything you said after I spoke last.
Okay, so I said that it's possible that there are videos or or pictures out there of the rebels against the Empire forces. But it generally people were dressed as villains or heroes who generally all together. So, but there probably were a couple of acted out scenes that are the pictures and video out there from the event.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's pretty interesting.
So people turn up and they sort of do a little improv performance out in the street.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've had somebody who's actually built an R2D2 life size robotic, radio control one, to spec, and people have often acted out scenes with R2, and it's quite an interactive robot. So it's pretty cool when you actually see it, with the cosplayers and stuff like that. I think like on our website, on our events page, there's quite a few video and pictures of people actually interacting, with each other at these events.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen any of those, but I'll check them out afterwards. That sounds really cool. They must put so much work, like hours and hours or weeks and weeks into creating actual robots. Such a diverse and creative community.
Yeah, that guy built the robot over 5 years. I think he said it was over 5 years, and he's built a BB-8 unit as well. I'm not sure if he's completed it, but around last year, it was still it was complete. The outside of it was complete, but none of the robotics were complete. But he's built that R2 unit, and it's fantastic. When you see the actual pictures and the video of it, it's a work of art.
Yeah, it really is. It's so much passion into something like that. Man, was BB-8 the little orange ball guy from Star Wars Force Awakens?
It's from the latest trilogy. It's the white and orange robot. Yeah, that's the one.
That's cool. Nice. And do these trilogies come out in sort of like in sets, or are they one by one? I don't really follow the Star Wars films myself.
No, well, they usually come out like over a few years. So from 2015, every December after that, there was a Star Wars movie. So I think 2015, I think 2016 was a spin-off film. 2017 was, I think it was called Rise of Skywalker. And then there was The Last Jedi, which was the final one, or vice versa. I can't remember. But they come out over a few years. They don't come out all together. They release them. Okay. They release them. Yeah.
With the original Star Wars films, did they come out all together, or were they in the same way?
No. That as well. Same. I think the first one was 1977, and then came out over a few years.
Wow, no way! I always thought they came out in a set of 3. That's really cool. What's your favorite aspect of the?
No. I think.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
No, I was saying that I think what they did was later on, like 15 years later, when they did re-release them in cinema, they released them like as a trilogy altogether. But originally they were released separately.
Right, so sort of tying it all together.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, what's your favorite aspect of it all, of the collecting?
Basic for me, it's become more nostalgia. Something tangible for either the money you spend or the time that you spend away from real life or work or whatever it is. It's just that little bit of joy and freedom that collecting gives you. And I'm sure like even people who don't actually collect stuff from the genre collect other things. Everybody's got an interest in something. So it all comes down to the same thing. It's basically an interest or something that makes you, brings you joy. That at the end of the day invokes something in you that will, bring you to actually have the sentimental value or, whatever it is to the character or to the series. It just depends. For me personally, it's the nostalgia aspect of it. It transports us back to a time which was our childhood, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So you don't get much of that nowadays. So it's that's mainly for me.
Right. That's so cool. And these toys are like they Really, I feel like they allow you to delve into your creativity and imagination. Do you ever sort of play with them as if you were like a child again to be able to relive that?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, a lot of the stuff I collect are still mint in box.
Right.
Um, some of the stuff that I do display, I'll pose them once just for the display, and I won't necessarily interfere with them for years. Play with them again, or I wouldn't say I use it as a play set like what a child would do, but um, it's just it's just what I grew up with. At the time when I grew up, the action figures and play sets and stuff were really at the forefront of our childhood. Whereas now, a kid my age, if a kid was my age, like the, when I if I was a kid now, it
Mm-hmm.
would be a lot more different. There's a lot of gadgets and there's the internet and there's so they're spoiled for choice when it comes to things on TV or whatever it is. When we were kids, especially living in South Africa, it was very different. Um,
Right.
so these toys took our imagination. And being a creative person, um, there's certain elements uh, uh, of these characters that are art or the cartoon series that followed, or just the toy line in general, or the general nostalgia, the feeling of getting a new action figure that stuck with me all those years. There was a point where I didn't collect, as through my high school years and through my university college years, and when I started working, that obviously these things got more and more expensive. So at this point in time, they're luxury items. Um, it took me quite a few years to get back into to actually collecting and reinvigorating that joy.
Wow, that's really cool. So like the when you were younger, you'd play with them and you'd imagine these heroes, and as a child would, you'd really enjoy them. And then as you grew up, by collecting them and sort of almost in the store creating a gallery of sorts of different toys and different memories. What would you prefer them to be called, by the way? I keep calling them toys. Collectible?
Well, toys are fine. I mean, to most to,
Okay.
to most people, generally it'll be toys. But like to most of the collectors, they will probably be like collectibles, figures, or you know. But toys are, generally that's what they are. They are toys. Maybe they adult collectors. Some of them. Some of the stuff are not meant for kids. In terms of their value, in terms of what how they're supposed to be displayed, whether they're supposed to be kept in box, because the manufacturers as well realize, that um, people who are in their 30s who had these toys when they were kids were starting to collect them as collector's items. So when they reissued them later on, as time went by, they reissued them in collector's packaging, uh, in a set that was quite valuable at the time, quite sought after, so that it purposely had a resale value, or even a place on the shelf where you'd keep it in a display. It was specifically made as a display piece, not actually to be taken out and played with. So it's very interesting the way that toy lines have developed over the years. I mean, if you just take, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Masters of the Universe line, He-Man, Skeletor, and that kind of you
Oh,
know um,
I've heard
array
of
of,
Skeletor.
of characters. Okay, so back when I was a kid in say like 1982 or 83, there was a cartoon that came on TV here called Masters of the Universe. But what actually inspired the cartoon was the toy line that had come out in the States around 2 years before that. And it ran for about 5 or 6 years here in this country, and I think worldwide till about 1988 or 89. And it was so popular as a toy and as a cartoon that almost every person in my generation knows who He-Man and Skeletor and Master of the Universe are. And We have a lot of advertising on our banners and stuff that have pictures of the actual, the reissued toy line. And whenever we do an expo or when we do a toy fair or whatever it is, people always pick up on the fact that they remember that from their childhood. There's more people, adult collectors, that we have than we have kids collectors. And I would say 99% of them know who He-Man is, and it's one of the most sought after collectibles out there.
That's incredible. Sorry, did you say that there are more people that own the He-Man and Masters of the Universe
Well, more
collectibles,
adults,
or more adults that
more adults, yeah, that
okay,
own it than kids. I would
that's
definitely say so.
amazing. Wow, because nowadays the kids, like you said, they're so spoiled for everything that they have that it's not like a specific thing that they can focus on. Like they go online and they can find any type of superhero, any type of sci-fi. Whereas back then, I assume it was quite limited, so it was like a treat.
Very limited. Yeah, and especially living where we are, we in South Africa, it was much more limited. Okay, compared, there's a lot of toys that we used to see in comic books and stuff that we never ever saw here. And what's amazing about it is that Masters of the Universe, although the first one came out in 1981, they're still making figures, paying homage to those figures till today. The latest line of Master of the Universe figures is called the Origins line, made by Mattel, who made the original line, based on the original toy line as well. That's being released. Well, was released last year, but being released worldwide now at the moment. It's going to probably be the most successful toy this year once it gets out onto the shelf. And the people who are rushing to buy them are in the age of, say, between 30 and 45 years old.
Wow, that's incredible. Just because they watched the cartoon as a child, and
Just because they watched the cartoon as a child. Yeah.
wow, that's
And
incredible.
some of them are specifically, some of them are not even toy collectors or action figure collectors, but they just want the He-Man, Battle Cat, Skeletor, and the stuff from that era. That's just what they want,
Yeah,
and it's amazing. I mean, we've been inundated with people asking us about it, and the range is not even out yet.
wow. In a way, it sort of has the same value as paintings, like art collectors.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's in the same bracket. I would think that, like, I'm not specifically. I have an art background, and I'm quite creative,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't specifically say that I'm an art collector, for example.
Right.
But I can understand somebody who possibly loves art and wants to collect art, and this in a sense is an art form. So there's something that clicks inside me when I see these characters, just like there's probably something that clicks inside people when they see an oil painting,
Of course.
and want to collect it, have it up on their wall. Some people, and in the same breath, some people buy it for resale value, you know, future investment. Some people buy it because they have to have it. It looks amazing and they have to have it.
Right.
Some people are hoarders,
Hmm.
so it just depends. It just depends on the individual. It can go anyway, but it definitely is, in a similar bracket to an art form.
Wow, that's beautiful. Do you know of anyone that sort of is able to distance themselves from the whole nostalgia thing and sort of see it like the stock market? I don't. Do you know like how stocks work and such? Is there a sort of similarity between that and collecting? Like if you see a value of a collectible going up, are there people going after it simply for profit's sake, or is most of the community centered around the passion and the nostalgia and the art?
I would say people are more wise to it now that these products do have resale value, because a lot of the collectibles that are released now have a limited run. If you look at a Masters of the Universe figure, if you had it, for example, mint on card or in the box from 1981, they can go anything up to like a couple of $1,000,
That's
depending on the
incredible.
condition.
So you
Yeah.
have all
So
these guys that when they were younger, collected all these, bought them just for the
I
sake
wouldn't,
of it.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't know why they would have done that. But if,
Hmm.
there are a lot of people who did it. They do it with Star Wars characters. They've done it with Masters Universe. There's certain figures that are very sought after. Across the board. It doesn't matter what genre it is, but there's certain toys that are they just go up in value, and I suppose it comes down to the rarity and demand
Hmm.
of those figures because it doesn't apply to everything. Uh, so it's amazing, but you definitely do find people buying specifically for investment purposes because they know it's the same with comic books. If there's a first appearance or a variant cover or a book that you know that's going to be a character going to be made into a movie soon, or it's going to influence the universe that it's created in. Those things just definitely rise in value. Um, so if you have the foresight to collect more than one copy or put some copies away, and then bring it out when it was relevant, and you might be surprised when you price them and find out that they have a value.
That's incredible.
Um,
Do you know any
Definitely,
stories of?
comic books and toys.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
I said no, it's definitely with comic books and with collectibles. We definitely come into contact with those.
Right. Do you know any stories of people that were collecting when they were younger and then they reached this age and suddenly they looked at the value and they were shocked and discovered they could make a fortune?
Um, I wouldn't say I've come into too many
Okay.
stories myself, but I have heard stories of people who had stuff in their basements and when they were moving house or in their parents' house and they found specific items that were worth a lot of money. Sometimes it's specific to our country, like coins or stamps or sometimes vinyl records, um, stuff like that. Toy wise,
Hmm.
um, I think because our country, because of the apartheid and sanctions and stuff like that, I don't think we had many toy collectors who collected it for the same reason as you would get today. I think many people who bought these toys would have bought it for their kids and um, wouldn't have been adults. It was mainly the kids who owned them. So they were definitely in played condition unless the kids were older and really looked after their stuff. Um, but like I've never come across like a sealed 1981 He-Man, for example, from a guy based in South Africa. It would definitely be something from overseas. Um, so I haven't really come across any first-hand experience of somebody who's uncovered something that was worth like thousands
Right. Okay.
they had when they were kids. Maybe comic books, but even then, I haven't really come across anybody directly.
Okay.
But they're
And
probably out. They're probably out.
I've seen it in a film recently. That's the only reason I asked because I saw a film recently where this guy had collected them his entire life, and then at the end he was like a millionaire, and they had these huge wedding, and it's just fascinating the thought that something like that could accidentally create a fortune.
Yeah, it's very possible. There's a program. There was an AMC program called Comic Book Men that was um, hosted by Kevin Smith, and one of the main topics in the show were people would bring in collectibles, to sell to the store. So he's got a comic book store, and they would sell it to the store, bring it for valuation or to trade, and some of the stuff, the values on the comics and the figs and the toys were incredible. What they were worth, like
Oh,
thousands of
sorry,
dollars
your audio's
sometimes.
gone a bit off
Hear me
again.
now?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that on the program they would bring stuff in for value or to grade or to get a approximate price of what they would cost, or what they would be valued at. And
Right.
some of the prices were like some of the values were like in the thousands. of some of the stuff. So it just depends. I noticed that a lot of the value depends on demand and on condition of the item.
Right. How much could it
Um,
go down if,
and
like, let's say a kid plays with a Superman that would have been worth thousands in the box? Could it like take it
it can,
down?
it can go down. It can go down to quite low. It depends. Like if the limbs are broken, if the paintwork scratched. I mean, again, it just depends on what it is.
Hmm.
I like we don't really deal in secondhand items, like unless it's like very, 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 very rare or it catches my attention. If it's something I really want for the shop, we deal with mainly the new releases and stuff that's boxed because there are plenty sort of Gumtree and websites where you can go and put on auctions and stuff like that for secondhand uh, previously owned toys. So we don't really do the secondhand stuff or previously owned, but there definitely is a massive market for it. And from what I've seen, uh, it all depends on how badly you want the toy. Like you said, if something's played for, what would the played with, what would the value be? It comes down to what the buyer wants to pay. If they can't find it, what they can't find it anywhere else. Those kind of things. So it will just depend on the buyer as well. Um, because what they generally do is on a grading level, you start off at a grade of 10, and for all the defects in it, you minus points basically. So where something say was worth $100, if it's in half the condition it should be in, you'd pay maybe $50 for it, for
Right.
example.
That's fascinating.
If it was in the best condition based on the demand, maybe you pay $60. But based on the plate condition, whether it's got a box or it doesn't have a box, does it work, does it not work, if it has batteries, those kind of things would determine whether what the value would be of a particular item going forward. But those are things that I'm learning all the time because, like I said, it's not something that we've really dealt with in a retail capacity. I've always I had a personal interest in it for myself, but we've never ever stopped like previously owned items uh, to sell to clients, to customers.
Right. So
So it's something that I'm learning all the time.
that's amazing. So all of the items that you have in store are first hand, fresh from the factory.
Yeah, fresh from manufacturers, or if there's a local distributor here in South Africa and brought in, imported, and on the shelf.
Nice, nice. What made you want to like go specific with getting them fresh from the factory instead of second hand?
Um, well, basically because I knew there was already a secondhand market that existed, and being a niche already, um, you know, in such a small country with such a small interest, I wanted to be an alternative, basically.
Right. So
Uh,
it's
and there was so much new stuff out there. There was so much new stuff out there. We wanted to specialize in the new stuff, box stuff, and keep it current. And at that point, you wouldn't, there there were people who did the online stuff with the secondhand items a lot better than we could have done it at that point. And they do a fantastic job with it anyway. So with a market that's small, we looked at an alternative. We looked at being specialized in collectibles and action figures. We didn't venture too much into comics. Like I mentioned earlier, there are other comic book stores in the country, and the city we are in, which is Durban, uh, has a lot smaller community and customer base than say Johannesburg or Cape Town, which are the bigger cities. Higher spending brackets and bigger cities, just in size.
right.
Um, So we really had to try and build a community and create the culture of of collecting. And so far it's been awesome. The people have really taken to it, and well, generally the the movie world has helped a lot with the MCU movies and the DC films and Star Wars films. It definitely reinvigorated the market, for high end collectibles. I think people generally knew there were probably very high end collectibles out there, but there wasn't a means to get it here previously. So there's certain lines that we keep that like other stores in the country don't, and stuff like that, because we specialize only in action figures and collectibles. We don't really keep comic books and stuff like that. We just specialize in the toys and the action figures.
Nice, yeah, that's understandable. Have you ever
Mm.
found that there's items specific to South Africa being made, or is it usually from overseas?
Um, I would think that maybe in the 80s there might have been stuff that was only made for our region, but um, right now everything's made for other regions, and we just get in the rest of the world bracket. So I would say it's US, Canada, the EU first, and then probably Australia, and then South Africa falls into the rest of the world bracket. The Far East has totally its own market, but I would say we fall into like in the lower tier of the rest of the world when it comes to getting stuff. So it is quite difficult being on the wrong side of the ocean
Yeah.
to get stuff, but and the prices. I mean, our exchange rate is really really poor. So at the moment, like it is getting more and more expensive for the general collector, to get more stuff. But as long as there's a market for it, we'll try and get it and as affordable as possible. One of the things we had to implement when we started our online store was payment plans. To allow people a chance to buy stuff and pay it off over a period of time,
Wow.
which seems to have also helped people.
That's something that I'd
Um,
expect usually from like if you're buying a very expensive bike or an expensive
yeah,
phone, but for collectibles, that's incredible that the price can be that high, that there are payment plans put in place.
yeah. That's it's one of the things that unfortunately, like being in a country that's borderline third world, with uh, you know uh, no decent healthcare, very expensive. Cost of living is very expensive. Things like basic things like the internet as well is expensive, and so this is like I mentioned to you, it's a luxury item. Not everybody can afford them, but we still want to give people a chance to enjoy them. And it seemed that the best way forward to do that was to allow people a chance to pay these items off, because even though in America these are between $20 and $30, $20 and $30 in our currency is quite a lot of money. It's more than people earn in a week, basic wage for a week.
Oh,
So we're trying to allow people, to get a chance to own some of these collectibles, and pay them off when they've got things like car payments, insurance, and medical bills and food bills, which are astronomical in this country.
of course, yeah, they have all this extra stuff going on, yet they still want the opportunity to be able to enjoy something that filled a majority of their childhood. And with you guys
Yeah,
going
and,
through
and,
the
and you want, yeah, sorry, you were saying?
oh, that's okay. I was just saying, and by you guys going through the extra effort of like going abroad, looking abroad for these extra items that you can't find there, you're allowing these hardworking people to have the opportunity to live their childhood again.
Yeah, I think it's important to have it. People want something tangible for their money as well. They want something, you know, to hold in the hand. I mean, now you can't even buy a piece of music and hold it in your hand anymore. It goes onto your phone, or into your device, and you never see it. You know, obviously you can listen to it, but you know, I grew up in a generation which had physical media. You know,
Yes.
and in such a rapid, you know, period of time, that's disappeared. You know, it gets less and less. So I think people want something, if they, especially my generation, want to spend money and want to see value for their money. You know, they want to see something they can hold in their hand and enjoy. And especially when you're buying a luxury item, you probably want to have it displayed, or you want to be able to hold it and enjoy it. And we wanted to share that. We wanted people to be able to have that, you know, that joy. And you know, uh, we've definitely tried to help it be something for everybody, even though you know any hobby is an expensive hobby. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean collecting. You know, it's isolated. Any hobby that you have is probably going to cost you money.
Yeah, of course. When you get to the passionate stage, even if it's
Yep,
painting, acting, whatever, you're still going to have to buy the equipment and invest money.
exactly, exactly.
And it feels like you were saying a second ago about how everything is online nowadays. I can open my phone, get Spotify up, and bam, I'm listening to music. Whereas less than 50 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. I'd have to buy a CD. Collectibles really seem like the sort of thing, like one of the last things that you can actually hold in your hands, and it has a value, like a record.
Exactly. You know, and everything now is about retro and you know, going back. And you can ask yourself why. If you dig deeper, you'll find out that all of a sudden people want value. They
Yeah.
want value. We're spending all this time, and now with what's happening in the world, people are spending more time at home. And what do you do if you've got 2,000 songs on your iPad and you've listened to it over a week already? You know, there's nothing tangible you have for it. Tomorrow your phone falls, it's gone. You know,
Yeah, of course.
so it's that kind of thing. Like where people all of a sudden, you know, we've had that encounter where people have come and said, "Okay, I'm I'm done with uh, with this level of my of collecting career. I'm on to the next level now. I want something that's really gonna make me happy, or really gonna work for me, or you know, where I can really enjoy it. I'm done with collecting matchbox cars or trading cards, or I want to get into something that I enjoy more, and now I've got the money to do it, or I can slowly put money towards it. You know, that kind of thing. We encounter that all the time.
That's
Um,
awesome. There's stages to it, of course, and
of course, yeah, yeah,
that's so cool. That really is, and people can get more excited as it goes on. It's sort of like more rare versions of records with these toy cars. Did you mention like collectible
yes,
cars?
yes. But
How
what I didn't realize is all these Matchbox cars and
Matchbox?
um, Inky cars and Hot Wheels and stuff like I was passing on shelves for years. I passed, you know, when I go to toy stores, I pass those shelves for years and never bother to look at it. Probably equivalent of £1 for you guys is a small Matchbox car or a small Hot Wheels car, probably €1, £1, which is like 15 to 20 rand for us in our currency. And oh, what I didn't realize was that there is like a massive cult following for 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 the cars, and often as soon as the cars hit the shelves, within a day or so, the best cars are gone already. There's a huge collecting community out there that know when the cars are coming out, um, know which cars they are, and are sought after. You know, the different cars, and they know all the different elements of why that car is collectible, why that car is going to be so rare. and they collected. And this is going on for 50 years. As long as Hot Wheels are around, it's been going on. I think Hot Wheels is like 50 something years old, and it's been going on for that period of time. And there's some of the cars they never ever changed the casting or the mold of them. So that makes it even more sought after. And they just change the packaging every couple of years and they reissue them. So those kind of things. I mean, when it comes to collecting, it can be anything. It can be anything. It just depends on the
Yeah, that's really
depends on your passion.
what you were saying earlier about the nostalgia effect that you get from these toys. Hot Wheels were something big in my childhood. Like when you were talking about it just there, it hit something in my chest, and I was like, man, I want to get my hands on those toys again. And yeah, I get it now. I get the nostalgia. It's beautiful. It's like it.
And one thing about Hot Wheels is they've tied it in with as much as they could in terms of pop culture. So they've made Hot Wheels cars from the movies, like Batmobile and Kit from Knight Rider, and the the GMC truck from the A Team, and Scooby Doo's mystery van, the party bus from Ninja Turtles, Transformers, whatever it is. If there was a vehicle, chances are Hot Wheels have made it, and that's where we've come in and we generally stock cars like from popular culture, from the movies, from TV series, from comic books, that kind of thing. The Fast and Furious movies, there's Hot Wheels cars for those. So I mean, that's really how I got back into collecting cars, because I like cars from the 80s, from TV series and movies, like the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
So and all the Star Wars vehicles. That's how I got back into collecting die-cast cars, small ones. Those 1 in 64 scale Hot Wheels. Because I went after all the entertainment cars, and it was amazing how many there were. But like I said, for years I just passed it by. I'd never bat an eyelid to those things.
When was it?
Now they sought after. Sorry?
Wow, that's incredible. When was it that you started getting into them?
Well, the Hot Wheels cars, I would say around 2011.
Right.
I was passing, I was in Toys R Us and I was in one of the toy aisles and I was just taking a corner and it caught the corner of my eye. It was a DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Right.
And I was like, is that a DeLorean? I looked at it and I couldn't believe it. It actually was written on the packaging with the logo Back to the Future DeLorean. And it wasn't a regular DeLorean. It was the Back to the Future DeLorean with all the different parts and wires and all over it. And I was like, crap, okay. And so I bought that. And the next time I went into the store, I looked for other cars like that. I found Batmobiles and I found Ecto 1 from the Ghostbusters. And I found the A-Team van from the TV series, the A-Team. Knight Rider, the Kit car. And a whole lot of other cars down the years that I've collected, all from film and TV series. If there was a car in it, like Ferris Bueller, the Ferrari from Ferris Bueller, I've got that as well. And it's specific. They branded it with the Ferris Bueller logo and it's authorized and everything. So it's quite amazing. And I never knew that existed. And over the last couple of years, I think I've amassed like a couple of hundred of those cars.
Oh my god, that must fill you with such a sense of pride that you've got all these cars that link up to these incredible, iconic films.
It does. When you actually, I've got them all in storage boxes. So when I eventually do have a look at them, it's awesome. It's amazing.
I really.
The only problem with collecting is space. Every collector will tell you that's the biggest problem they have.
Are you running out of space now?
We ran out of space a long time ago.
Oh man. Do you have
Yeah,
like
that's the biggest problem.
yeah? Is that what you
I've got
started
stuff
selling them
everywhere.
all?
Well, not really. I wouldn't say that. Um, but when we started off, I had an interest. Somebody was interested in buying my stuff from my collection originally.
Mm.
That was like years before we started the business. I started the business with my wife in 2011. Um, but like I never, I always want it was always like a passion and a dream to have my own collectible store. But I never really thought I'd do it. You know, yeah, I don't know why, but I never really thought I'd do it. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where everything fell into place, and we went for it. Um, and that's 10 years ago, nearly.
Oh my god, a dream fulfilled.
A dream fulfilled. Yeah, I could say that. And like different things, like we're talking about the movies and stuff. You know, we always had that dream that someday we want to do a movie premiere where everybody comes dressed in cosplay, or like characters from the film, and the movie's hosted by us. You know, even if we did it on a small scale, but it just so happened that we managed to do it on the biggest scale possible at the biggest IMAX theater. At the time, it was the only IMAX theater in South Africa, and at that point, IMAX hadn't worked with an independent company before, so we were like the first. I still think we're one of the only ones. I don't think anybody's ever done it. We've done it now 24 or 25 times in the last 5 years. Um,
That's
for
incredible.
every major cinematic comic book related movie, we've done an IMAX screening for, with the local IMAX theater. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's so cool. You're really like a voice for people to be able to start their own careers and dreams and connecting with huge companies
Yeah,
like IMAX. It's possible.
yeah. Well, look, that's been a privilege to work with companies like them. I mean, we've worked with a lot of people down the years. That's one thing. It's opened a lot of doors for us in terms of meeting new people, going places. Like I said to you off air, Comic Con, um, that we two Comic Cons we were involved in so far, and all the mini conventions that we've been to locally, um, have allowed us to become household names for people in this country in popular culture. And it's been a long, hard journey, but it's been a lot of fun as well. I mean, it's just unfortunate that the world is at the point it is now. So that last year all all our events. I think the Suicide Squad sequel was the last real event that we had. It was February last year,
Oh,
and since then, because obviously with the coronavirus, we haven't actually had any public meetings or get-togethers with the community, and it's just been one of the worst times. And we get a lot of emails and messages from people saying like, "Can this just be over here? And we can start to get back on with the events and the conventions and stuff like that." Because I think people are starved for it.
yeah, I can imagine. It's like it's their community. I suppose it's almost like a family that they get to return to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, It's one of those things, especially uh, with the uh, I hesitate to say geek community, but um, most of most of the community wears pride that they're geeks nowadays.
Yeah.
Um, that a lot of the community never had a platform to express themselves, whether it be like-minded people who enjoy collecting or enjoy Star Wars universe or comic book universe, etc. Or whether it was just you know just to hang out with like-minded people where they felt excluded previously. To now have a sense of belonging and a sense of acceptance, um, and prevalence now in the world. Like if you wouldn't go very far without somebody not knowing what the Avengers are or what Star Wars is. Whereas previously it was a very um, you know people who enjoyed those things were either nerds or geeks or looked down on and um, poke fun at and stuff like that. And now it's one of the biggest voices in popular culture. Um, are people who are passionate about the films and the genre in general.
Yeah, I suppose back in the day it would be like the jocks watch the cool thriller movies, and then the nerds or the geek watch Back to the Future and films like that. Whereas nowadays anyone can watch it without being judged. So nice that.
Exactly. And I think that the world has become a lot smaller. With the dawn of the internet and how fast these films come out and people from all over the world can get together. Like I'm now communicating with you, whereas 15 years ago, this might not have happened.
Yeah, that's
and
so true.
We've linked up because of our involvement in on social media and with the community and servicing people who are passionate about what we do. And that's the only reason why stuff like this is possible. Is because of the people who support us. And that's what keeps us going to do more. Is that there's always people telling us, "This was awesome. When's the next? When's the next one?"
Yeah,
that keeps us going. Yeah.
Do you cosplay yourself?
No, I'm not a cosplayer, unfortunately.
Yeah, understandable. I think I'll be having a guest as a cosplayer soon. So you've explained so much to me that I'll probably be able to discuss with him also. Wow.
Okay. Well, look, it is something. It is something that is an art form in itself. Cosplay is its own. Its own monster altogether. We've seen some amazing cosplays over the last couple of years where I previously never been exposed to cosplay at all. It's just that when we started doing our events, when I noticed, when I got to recognize the effort and time and passion behind being a cosplayer. It's not just dressing up in a costume and coming to a movie. Okay, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. Like you said, they spend weeks and months and just as long as the movie takes to be made, these cosplayers take to make their outfits.
Right. Yeah.
That's how long it takes sometimes. It's amazing, the effort, and a lot of them stay in character as well.
Yeah, it's not.
They adopt the.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like a kids' party where they're dressed up as like fairies and.
No.
Yeah, it's
like
really
like
something that. Big for them. They're becoming the character. They're living their dreams in a way.
Become the characters, and a lot of them make the cosplays on their own. They make the outfits themselves.
That's amazing. So much dedication, so much creativity, and
a lot of dedication. It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's become a big part of what we do. I would say it's a big part of the community, the cosplay community, and it's been a lot of fun working with them, alongside them, and it's definitely something that we hope that we can carry on doing in the future, and soon.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
Yeah.
Your store is called Project Mayhem. Is that connected to Fight Club?
Yes, it is.
Oh, amazing. It's my favorite film. I love Fight Club so much. What made you want to call it Project Mayhem?
I loved Fight Club, the book, and I loved the film. So when I was in varsity, I had a friend of mine. We were gonna start a media company, and we were looking for a name, and uh, Project Mayhem was one of the names that we had um, we had originally thought of, and then we thought it would scare people away, and so we shelved it. We shelved it, and I'm talking like maybe 2001 and or 2000, and we shelved it. And then when we were looking for a name for to start what Project Mayhem is now, the collectibles company, I didn't want to really spend too much time thinking of what's the perfect name, and Project Mayhem just snapped into place, and I was like, okay, let it is kind of like a movement, anti-establishment that goes against what everybody else is doing,
Mm.
which is Project Mayhem in a nutshell. And we wanted it to become community-based, and I just had that picture in my mind of of it being very community and a voice kind of thing. So that's what we went with, and even the logo. That first, it's very comic book like, but also very authoritative. Authoritative. Sorry.
Totally, yeah. Like
So
the cliche, like nerds and the geeks are always being in films and such from the 80s. They're being like pressed down upon. So I love the idea that it's like Project Mayhem. We're rising up. We're taking
yeah,
over.
so that was kind of the thought process behind it. But it was at that point I knew a lot of people didn't appreciate Fight Club for what it was. A lot of people thought it was just a violent film about fighting,
Yeah.
but it wasn't really.
There's a
So
really deep message in there. Like on the surface, it does look like it's
very
just
deep.
like, oh, men being men, beating each other up. But
Yes.
it's so much about just letting go of what other people think and truly being yourself.
That's 100% what we that what we saw for the brand as well. And I remember at the time when Fight Club was being released, um, all the trailers mainly showed fight scenes. It never showed the psychological part with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter. It was mainly fight scenes. You just see people getting beat up, or a beat up version of Brad Pitt or a beat up version of Edward Norton. You never see any of the trailers showing you that a deeper message. And I suppose it's very tough to show a deeper message with a film like Fight Club.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to watch the whole movie to understand what it is. The subliminal messages in there, and the eventual message of what it stands for.
Totally.
It's deeper than that.
It's kind of ironic in a way because of the whole don't judge a book or a thing by its cover is a big premise in Fight Club. Yet because of the way in which the trailer was made, everyone misjudged the film and thought it was just about fighting.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
Yep. That's one of the things. The other thing, what's ironic is Project Mayhem is
oh, sorry, your
about
audio.
uprising.
Audio is
Hear me now?
Oh, yep, that's better.
Is mainly to do with the uprising, like you were saying,
Yeah.
and it active undertone in through the whole storyline of the book, and in the movie, the entire second half of the film, towards the end, was all about their exploits as Project Mayhem. To cause chaos amongst all the organized, things that own you, that control you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so
I want
powerful nowadays.
to have trendy friends and fancy clothes and all these gadgets and stuff like that, which end up actually hampering his life rather than.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like they're going around, they're like um putting gasoline in computers, really causing chaos. It's so much about anarchy and letting go. In a way, there's. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just agreeing with what you were saying. It's a lot about anarchy, its massive undertone without being too political.
Yes, yeah. It's got that irony in it as well that the people that join Project Mayhem are against organized things, and then they actually become an organized thing themselves.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
I suppose, in a way, is sort of what's happened with your company. It started off with like we're going to rebel, and now it's a worldwide thing. And I suppose you're still rebelling because it's not a hugely popular thing. Although I suppose in some
Yeah.
aspects it
No,
is.
look, when it comes to anything that community based, eventually the idea belongs to the people. There is the retail, obviously there's the retail side of it, which is what was the main undertone of what we do.
Hmm.
Okay, obviously because it's a store, we're an online store, we retail, but there's we have a very big um, uh, commitment to keeping the community going.
Sorry, you're still a little bit muffled with the audio. It's a little bit hard to hear you.
Huh? Better now?
Yes, I think so.
Hello?
I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. I was saying that there is always a part of um, of when you're doing something community based that doesn't belong to you. Eventually, it belongs to the community.
Mm.
There's a lot of obviously there's two parts to what we do. One part the retail side, which is the online store and stuff like that. But there's a big commitment to the community building that we're involved in, and to keep that going, is very important to our brand. To keep that community together and to keep doing stuff, um, you know, to promote, the genre, and by association, it promotes our brand as well. And like I was saying to you earlier, we've become a household name, because of the community that we're part of.
Wow, that's incredible. So people talk about Project Mayhem SA like it's it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like it's
What's
Tyler.
what? Yeah, kind of. What's amazing is like when you go, we just think we're a small online store based in a small city in South Africa, hidden away in Africa, in third world Africa, and we at Comic Con, and people are walking past or the booth or come into the booth and tell the people they with, this is Project Mayhem. I showed you these guys online, or I only buy from these guys, or don't you see these guys videos of the events and all the stuff that they're doing? Don't you check them online? And it's like that for us is the takeaway. Is that whenever you start something, you don't expect to be uber popular. You don't expect to be recognized, but people immediately recognize the logo. They immediately recognize the name. They know what we do. They know who we are. They follow us on social media. That is something that you cannot put a price on. And whatever marketing we've done, we've always done it organically. We've got a Facebook page, and we've got Instagram, and we've got YouTube, and the website. And we've not really done any advertising, at all in that time. So everything's just been word of mouth, organically spread. Uh, our appearances at events, our networking with cosplayers and events and bigger companies that we've worked with doing promotions and stuff like that. And we've just become a household name over the last 10 years. Would we like more people to be involved? Of course. But, for now, whatever's happened with us over the last 10 years has been very, very, not surprising, but I would say welcome. And we definitely didn't expect, to have such a big following and such a positive influence on the community,
Yeah.
and them to have the vice versa, on us.
It's beautiful, man. It's like what you said a second ago. That it's so you can't put a price on it. What you have in this community, and it's like money buys everything but love. That's the finest gold, and I suppose that's what you have in your community. It's love. It's love for each other. It's love for the passion. It's love for that mutual passion of the projects, of the
Yes, I
collectibles.
mean that hit the nail on the head. And again, and when you want to really see, you want to really when you want to really see the support is when we have these events and the numbers are in the hundreds.
Yeah.
People coming down. And as the years have gone by, the new cosplayers and the people who finding out about us on a regular basis, the numbers are increasing all the time.
That's so
You know,
beautiful.
uh, and that's the heartwarming thing about when you are involved in a process like that is that you cannot pay enough compliments to the people who are there to support you. Yeah, sure, we creating the platform, but we can only create a platform if something for something for people who exist. Without that support, that those platforms are nothing.
Right. Yeah, of course. Man,
Mm.
this has been so much fun. Thank you for joining me. I'm gonna end it here.
No, and it was very was awesome being on your podcast,
Oh, thank you.
and I hope it goes from strength to strength,
From what? Sorry.
from strength to strength. I hope it gets you know better and bigger, and we look forward to seeing it grow.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Well, if I ever end up coming to South Africa, I will 100% come to your store. It sounds
Oh,
so
that'll
cool.
be awesome. That'll be awesome. It'll be good to have you as a guest anytime.
Oh, thank you, man. I look forward to it. I have a few friends from South Africa. Lovely people.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Cool. I'm ending it now.